Those who wanted a Tirana tussle left disappointed. Gammanpila predicts not even 40% possible for any candidate. What caused Dilith-Dhammika enmity? SJB MPs gratified by Ranil now in a dilemma.
The leader, දේශයට මග කියන ප්‍රවෘත්ති පෙළගැස්ම.
Those who wanted a Tirana tussle left disappointed. With May Day happenings too old news for the media, the latest is the on-arrival visa fiasco. It happened on May 1st itself at the Dilith-Dhammika airport. A video gone viral in social media shows a Sri Lankan passenger making a big scene over a visa refusal. At the time, Subject Minister Tiran Alice was warded at Mount Elizabeth Hospital in Singapore. A well-known Sri Lanka media mogul too was there. Sajith's senior advisor Lakshman Fonseca had also visited Tiran at hospital, it is said. Not only the opposition, certain government politicians as well became involved in this fiasco. Tourism Minister Harin Fernando washed his hands off the matter and passed the ball into Tiran's court. Harin said he only asked approval for free visa entry for visitors from 67 countries. Minister Alice observed that cabinet papers are given to all ministers. No one can say he did not know it. The VFS went to the cabinet twice. The tourism minister may not have been aware. I cannot hold media briefings for his ministry. I do my duty properly, he said. The government even appointed a committee to look into free visa issuance. Sajith said on X that irregularities behind its handover to VFS Global should be looked into. His newest economic advisor, Lanka Godahewa, cast doubts if it was to find money for the election. He charged that a 12-year agreement has been signed to get 15 billion rupees. On Monday, ministers decided to bring down the $75 visa fee to $50. The president's media division said visa issuance is the full responsibility of the Immigration and Emigration Department. Tiran returned on Sunday morning. He summoned ministry officials and held several rounds of talks late into the night at his office at Rosmead Place in preparation for the media briefing planned for the next morning. At that briefing, he gave a lengthy explanation about the reasons behind the decisions made at the cabinet. But what caught the social media attention was not his clarifications, but rumours about a colleague of his who is said to have watched the proceedings live and directed questions at a certain journalist to be asked from Tiran. In the meantime, a letter said to be Harin's resignation came to be shared on social media. However, Harin said it was a fake. Raising 7 key points with regard to the on-arrival visa issuance, Sajith inquired if Harin knew about that and also if he had discussed things with VFS officials at any time. Then, speculation was rife that Tiran and Harin are having serious differences and that they will have a face-off at Monday's cabinet meeting. Both sat next to one another when the cabinet met. When others raised the visa matter, the two had the same things to say. Both went to a separate room to meet officials and returned arm in arm. This morning, underworld leader and drug trafficker known as Mana Ramesh was brought back home following his arrest in Dubai. Tiran was the person behind this operation, and it will be the talk of the town for some more time. In the meantime, public woes will continue. Gammanpila predicts not even 40% possible for any candidate. Following talks with Ranil and Basil on May 4th, it is now said Parliament is to be dissolved soon after several essential acts get passed. A would-be presidential candidate of the SLPP said so to some in the business fraternity. The SJB too is on full alert. Udaya Gammanpila was asked about the rumours when he held a media briefing on the 6th. He replied that Ranil was under pressure from SLPP leaders to dissolve Parliament before May 15th. Basil knows well that the presidential polls will be lost, and the parliamentary election next will bring defeat as well. The SLPP will be wiped out. He noted that even the winning candidate will get between 35 and 40% of votes only, but the winner's side will get considerable power at the general election. If the general election is held first and no one gets a clear majority, an unstable parliament will be formed, he said. According to him, Basil's proposal will render the government inactive for 2.5 years amid an economic crisis because Parliament cannot be dissolved for that duration. He urged Ranil to do what is good for the country and not for the SLPP. When asked about the chances of the candidates, Dhammika said the winner will not be from the government side. Presently, the buffet only has 3 menus that have already turned bad. New menus are due this month. Then it will become mouth-watering for the people, he said. Who can be the patriotic candidate that Dhammika speaks about? Some say it could even be Dilith-Dhammika. Rajapaksas as well as Weerawansas are looking for billionaires to fund their campaigns. Time will tell who they will be. What caused Dilith-Dhammika enmity? Dilith-Dhammika says he will not allow 6.9 million votes to be sold to a Mudalali. Those votes do not belong to Namal nor his supporters. The 6.9 million votes do not mean the SLPP. It belongs to us, Dilith says. He tells this Mudalali that it will be a waste of money if he plans on buying the 6.9 million votes. Everyone in politics realises that Dilith is taking a jab at Dhammika Pereira when he addressed a Morbima Jantha Party rally in Mathugama on the 5th. After hearing all this, Dhammika was annoyed, mostly because he was called a Mudalali. If I am a Mudalali, what else is he? He inquired from some businessman. Months ago, Basil himself went to Dilith's Shangri-La apartment and offered him the SLPP's candidacy. Dilith not only rejected it, but also ridiculed it too. Basil offered it a second time, but was told by Dilith that he would have nothing to do with the Rajapaksas. Anyway, Dhammika was among the few who offered to support Dilith after he deserted the Rajapaksas and formed the MJP. Some months later, Basil made the offer to Dhammika, and he accepted it. Since then, Dilith and Dhammika duo have been at each other's throats. Both have handed over businesses to their families and now go on stage to be the presidential candidate. By the way, the Rajapaksas decided that their candidate will be finalised by the first week of June. In the meantime, Namal will begin holding electoral-level meetings from next week to target the election. Views and suggestions about the candidate are to be obtained at these meetings and given consideration when the final decision is taken. Rajapaksas also decided to invite back its deserters, who presently function as independents. SJB MPs gratified by Ranil now in a dilemma. The SJB is to be stern against its MPs who received gratifications from President Ranil Wickremesinghe. Those loyal to Sajith are going to humiliate them at the next parliamentary group meeting. But the boss advised those who are going to raise it not to become unnecessarily concerned. The above was published in Irida Deshaya in its gossip column. Anyway, it is unlikely that those who get various returns will join the government anytime soon. In the meantime, Iranda Ginige questions why the SJB dislikes Ranil. Gota's ex-advisor, who now bats for Namal, poses the question in a Facebook post. He says, the SJB has former UNP MPs who have right-wing politics in them. They were nurtured by Ranil and they learnt from him. They have longer ties with Ranil than with Sajith. SJB MPs are closer to Ranil than MPs from any other party, he says, noting these to be facts. Then, why don't they support Ranil? Ginige asked. Normally, a vast majority of MPs are worried about how to get re-elected. Only a handful are concerned about the party or the people. That cannot be faulted because politics is all about power. If the SJB MPs have the best chance of re-election with Ranil, they would already have joined him. So, do they believe their best chances lie with Sajith? That's reasonable, because the masses are dead against Ranil's government. If SJB MPs believed Ranil had a chance, they wouldn't have bided their time weighing pros and cons in order to strengthen his hands. If his victory is already guaranteed, only the SJB is capable of making it a unique one. Why doesn't it happen? If Ranil is truly a skilled one as he claims to be, he should already have the SJB MPs with him. They don't seem to believe him, even if he dissolves the cabinet and offers ministries to them. Ranil invites them, but the SJB says no. Those who are neither here nor there worry over it. This is politics, says Ginige. What he says is the opinion of Namal and other Rajapaksas. Ginige seems to have calculated that Namal can easily be the leader of the anti-government force if the UMP and the SJB ally together. But one thing is certain. Everybody is showing only the things that are to their advantage. Anyway, There is nothing standard in politics. For gaining power, almost anything is possible. Still, the people have the decisive power to choose the government under representative democracy. It's up to them to make the correct decision. Do your homework. Think deep and choose well. That's it for today.